We are we are live. It's working so far. It seems. Yeah. Uh, let me let me transition then. Anyways, we I probably forgot something. I okay. Wait. Let me first and foremost. Hello. Ah, yeah. I forgot about disconnecting the fucking what's the word? Mouse. Give me like a second. Okay, sorry. Hello. Uh, now for real. Good evening. I hope we can stay live. I don't know. I guess the internet is the biggest issue right now. Also, before I forget to say the most important thing, hi. Yeah. Welcome. Good day. Hope you're fine. Good evening. Uh, anyway, here we are. That's that's all that I can say. Also, also, I don't know. I think it has been like a now for real. It has been like a fucking long time since what? Thank you. Also, what is the alert? It's going to be extremely loud. That one also. There is no alert. Why? Why did it not say anything? What's the? Sorry for I. Do I not have it set it up? Why did it not work? Do I have to test right now? Maybe. Um, anyways, thank you a lot. I fucking hate Twitch. No, no, not no, no. It's okay. I can say that I hate it. In reality, it was like my own problem. It was me who should have set it up. What's that the noise? Oh. It was the brain aneurysm now one. Yeah. Uh, anyway, sorry. Uh, it did work. It did work. Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. Thank you very much. So editing is fine. I guess I don't know. What was I meant? Yeah. Hey, first thing I wanted to say something. I about instincts. I guess. Also, can I remove my cables? Uh, that it is a little bit farther away from the mic. Something funny is having an USB cable next to another USB cable makes it kinda explode. Don't ask me why. I just know it does. So yeah. Anyway, what I was meant to say for real was I learned something interesting, or I realized something interesting. Uh, not today, but I always say, did I forget about something? And I didn't realize that, yeah, in many ways, just simply saying something along those lines is already a sort of reminder that I did forget about something. I think whenever I don't say that, we have a proper start. If I say that, it's already like a sort of alarm of, wow, yeah, I did forget about something. Can I remember actually what I forgot about? Probably not in many cases, but yeah, I guess I don't know something along the lines of how we can recognize issues in terms of realizing that they might be there, even if we ourselves don't have the possibility of consciously identifying that they are there in that sense, not even saying that it is an issue to forget about stuff, but just to go at the idea of, okay, there is a level of awareness about a situation. The possibility is there. Can I try to see what did I forget in my case or not? Anyways, that was just an observation. Um, I didn't really notice. Also, can my PC stop reminding me that I need to restart it? It's like the fourth notification that I get in like 5 minutes. This is anyway. I love you, Windows. What a great thing. What else? I don't know. It has been. I was saying it has been like a long time since the last time we were here. So a lot of stuff happened. I tried to stream yesterday, and internet malfunctioned out of nowhere. I like it because internet mostly this we did get a new service. This new service malfunctions mostly at night, and I stream at night, so it's so funny. Anyway, um it happened. So yeah, that last time was incredibly non-productive, I guess. But yeah, besides that, I don't know something else. I have been reading a lot, I guess. Also, live basically, continuing with everything else that I should be doing. I I have been. I think the most important thing really is I haven't not I know that I say it a lot. I haven't thinking at this point means nothing, but in reality, it has been I have been capable of clearly getting to proper conclusions. That's a more correct way to say it. Lately, I have been I wouldn't say tying loose ends in terms of yeah uh, moving on, but rather I have been capable of getting properly deepen areas of knowledge in which I was lacking before. Not in terms of, oh yeah, I was consciously trying, I guess, but life makes you grow in some ways. That's something funny. That's something funny that I don't talk out all of that, so it's sort of complicated to explain. But yeah, I don't know, living life, going through the hardships of existing, I guess, in some way, makes it, if one is interested in having at all an experience worth having, so to speak, or not trying to make their own existence so miserable, it can be life itself. Wow, great statement, but yeah, it can indeed be something enjoyable and something that has a lot of things to learn from. Not in terms of just, oh yeah, I made this mistake, I can avoid it, but rather seeing things that makes everything else also make a little bit more sense. That has been also part of that, and yeah, I will say that's great, or not just great. That has been pretty fantastic. Yeah, that's that has been in many ways useful. Also, now that I remember, I know I know I'm not a big guy on watching movies in terms of let's do a deep dive on movies and whatever. But I remember having seen. I don't. At this point, I don't remember exactly which video. I think it was something about this movie that came like a lot of years ago that nowadays became more popular because it has Killian Murphy or something like that. And it is 28 days ago a video dissecting that movie in which it also was to some degree another movie mentioned called Baraka. I watched that movie. That movie was amazing. I I think it's pretty useful to have stuff of that sort lying around. Let's say to have media that can be so interesting and also something that I wasn't expecting so much was to find out that to some degree I not actively in terms of wow yeah I want to know everything, but I did have a lot of knowledge about the things that we saw. I think I wasn't. We we watched it with my family basically. I that was funny. I get to kind of force them, force the exposure, that sort of thing, and make them watch the things that I also watch. So another one of my family members didn't have as much of an idea about what the fuck we were watching, but I wasn't so lost. It's interesting to see that, and it made it's complicated to talk about it because to begin with, that movie doesn't have, at least in the common languages that I can speak, any words at all. It's more like it's a movie. It's not really a documentary. It's a movie about a lot of things that do happen throughout different cultures of the world and whatnot. And it's very useful in terms of how it allows one to get, I wouldn't say a grasp, but first to get a visual representation about things, about many of the things, the traditions and whatnot that exist within the different peoples of the world, so to speak, and within all of the variations of how we end up being ourselves. In that sense of yeah, we we can be not so say not so directly indicated when we get accustomed to what we are. But in reality, when we get to observe ourselves from a distance, or even more, when we get to observe others, that's when we learn that, yeah, indeed, many things are quite, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't stay at the crazy meaning, but rather marvelous. The way in which we are is marvelous, and that's why that movie itself is so good. I would say, yeah, to watch it probably. Um, yeah, wait. I remember something else. I didn't change the. Let me. If I am going to talk about it, and this is my own stream, why don't I change this thing to also say, hey, give me a second. I have to type. I have to type, and I only have one hand, so it will take like 8 minutes. Uh, there we go. Yeah. Okay. There it is. Yeah. Watch Baraka. Thank you. That's my message. I have to watch also some Sarah. We are going to do that. Ah, but yeah, watch movies. Watching? Yeah. Thank you. But no. Yes and no. Also, let's say like this. I don't know. It's to some degree it's bad. Obviously, if I were to get reprimanded, it's going to be bad. I think so, but at the same time, think about it like this. It's an opportunity to see many things that in many ways we don't actually seek out ourselves. It isn't that we don't have the possibility of learning about other cultures. We always have that. Yeah. And we can always try in some way to experience other cultures. But at the very least, with this movie, you get a very quick exposure to them. Flash, I wouldn't say for Flash, there are some very, I guess, if you have never seen out some of the roles that are portrayed there, traumatic things, even to some degree, but at the same time, it's it's useful. It's useful. It's fucking world culture. That idea of yeah, don't forget that we don't exist just ourselves. Don't forget that we don't exist just us who have access to internet and whatnot, but rather what the rest of the people, the other part of the world that still is more connected to other things, to other traditions, to other mythologies, I guess, and all of that. In that sense, that's why I guess it's useful. Not in a negative way of yeah, no, you have to watch it, but rather it's an opportunity, and it's a very good one. It's a very what's the correct word? It's a very nurturing opportunity to try and see something like that. It, the best part is it doesn't have a dialogue, so you don't have to worry. That's what I was going to say before. You don't have to worry about. Oh yeah, this the main text and the subtext of what I am watching. No, you can interpret it however you want. That's one of the main points of why it is made the way in which it was made. Interpretation is completely open in that sense. So that's my I don't know, my 5 minutes of talking about movies. Thank you. Now passing on to something else, I guess. I don't know. I used to say that I don't watch that many movies, but I guess I am slowly getting better at that. That's yeah. That's another moment of insight, I guess. Uh, yeah, it happens. So, just get better at things that you should, to some degree, at least try to do. Not because it is an obligation, but rather because it is something that you should be creating. And if nothing else, through those other means, we get to have better opportunities at everything else. So that's useful. Yeah. That's that basically. Um, I guess I will have to watch something else. I, it's it's something that I also have to spend a lot of time on. So anyway, also, moving on. I said moving on, completely different. There is something that I don't really like. I said, I don't know, 1 minute ago. This point, the word insight, moments of insight. I don't like that word. Can we get a new definition, please? I think uh, maybe it's offensive. Perhaps it's offensive to say it like that, but yeah, it should be related more than anything else to psychology, to properly define things in words that get to be of their particular realm. I don't think insight. Insight is basic. No. Yeah. I mean, it's not the word itself is not bad. But if I tell you, I got a moment of insight. Basically, somebody who doesn't get what the particular expression means might as well stare blankly at you and don't get any idea about what we are talking about. You can say moment of insight, and that can mean nothing. If we can at least change an important concept, a symbol that we use to represent the idea, if we can, instead of saying, I don't know, insight, the funny chat is broken. Ah, yeah, it's true. It's true. Is stream elements down, perhaps? Like, maybe, I think I have also some explanation for that. Maybe it is because I say it already. I have to upgrade my PC. Maybe one unforeseen consequence is we don't get to see anything else. That's why also perhaps uh, what's the thing? The alerts didn't work. Let me. There is one button that is literally. See, no. Don't worry. We are fine. We are very well. We are Gucci. Let me see. I think I refreshed that. Yeah. I didn't. I don't know. It has no visual feedback. I hate OBS also. I like being a hater, I guess or no. Also, how much around here? I think it's like an issue if I have the microphone directly in front of my mouth. Mostly because I whisper too much. Or not whisper, like, what's the word? I make too much hissing. I know the word on Spanish. That you make too many sounds. So yeah, that's like bad when you're directly speaking at the mic. Anyways, I guess around here should be fine. That's like a compromise. And yeah, chat and alerts are broken. I wait. So back. We are so back. Okay, there it is. There it is. There it is. Uh, Also, it's off-centered. It, it, it is off-centered, right? That's not how I have it set it up. Why the fuck does it look like that, anyways? Uh, was it because I refreshed the source? I have to adjust it. Let me. Supposedly, we have like only 360p. We don't have that much room to play with here, so it's kind of complicated. But supposedly, that's sort of big. Let me. I don't know. Anyway, what if we wait until somebody complains that it is too big, and then, only at that point I will have to be responsible of my actions. Yeah, that's a much better solution than to fix it right now. Nah. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, the symbol of insight, moment of insight. No more. We need something else. Mostly also because of what I was saying. We have psychology. Why don't we use the whole institution of psychology? Why don't they try to gain that word for them? I probably moment of insight was a word that we always had, something like that. So I wouldn't be that surprised if we have the possibility, I guess, of not changing it. That whole idea of symbols cannot be changed at will. They need to be the whole process of social modifications of the signs. They can only then be changed. That whole idea of semiotics. So yeah, I guess we're kind of fucked. We will have to just use moments of insight. I guess that's that. Anyway, I don't know. Besides that, I was trying to say, and connecting that with, with what I was saying before. Yeah, I guess that will also be the more proper term. I have been having more moments of insight lately. That's the proper classification of it. Getting more instances in which things just make sense. I guess. I don't know. Okay. I have realized something. I guess I should thank. Yeah, probably for that. But yeah, it's very possible to hear people speak incredibly fast once you get accustomed to the act of just. But what is it called? Sifting, sifting, something like that. The act of, you have a lot of, let's say, sand, and you have to just sift the sand to get the tiniest grains, and everything else stays above. Sift through language, basically the same thing. The core main idea gets absorbed, and everything else goes away. It doesn't matter actually. I mean, that's something funny to see that. I don't know. One can, not just one can in general get better at discerning what is properly content from what is just other unavoidably necessary feeling to the message that anyone is sending. And the issue itself is, in many ways, we can't in any manner get rid of the feeling. But at the very least, what we can get better at from the side of the listener is to be capable of processing more the whole structure of the things that are being said. Not to be so focused on the word by word thing, but rather on the structure, sentence by sentence picture, so that the idea itself gets retained more, and so on and so forth. Also, I guess, I don't know, that also might as well be related with, I guess, imagination and whatnot. The capacity to also be capable of portraying even more things and be capable of connecting even more things that are associated to the ideas themselves that you want to get better at might be related at all with the capacity itself, or with not the capacity, with the skill of being more and more capable of picturing more of those initial ideas that you have in any way. If you cannot in any manner be good at, let's say, portraying an initial stage of what you are discussing, you cannot advance into even better ways of portraying not just the word, as I was saying before, but rather the whole sentence, and discerning what is from that whole sentence the important part and discarding everything else. So that's, I don't know, complicated, a process of maturation, something like that, probably. Not is it maturation? I don't think so. It's more along the lines of probably a skill, as I said before. Probably not. Yeah, I will associate it with that. Probably the linguistic capacity itself, and not being so bent on trying to just say things, but rather get things and get what is being said and be capable of producing things that also have in any way meaning. That's, yeah, probably that's also something related to how I personally approach things. So yeah, anyway, I guess that's how that works. I don't know. Anyway, also something very interesting observation. I like to talk out a lot of stuff. I forget a lot of times to say that it is my point of view. I don't know. I think that to some degree it's a negative thing to do, not because I say it in a way in which it can be misconstrued as the truth itself. That whole idea of, yeah, in some ways you're creating a manipulation of what might be interpreted the moment in which you dissociate so much from the message that you are trying to send, not taking on the responsibility of your own words, but rather making them sound as a general statement, or a general notion instead of just a personal statement that you are trying to defend. In that sense, the issue is it can be a very big mistake to keep on going in that same path, not because it is a negative thing in itself to do that. In some ways, it is sort of a necessary thing to be capable of talking about any proper concept, to just be objective about it, but rather that in most of the things that I talk about here, I don't talk about objective stuff. I think so far it wouldn't be that much of a bad statement itself. Psychology, philosophy, what else? Anthropology, semiotics. Nothing of that. Nothing of the main things that I know, quote unquote, a lot. Not a lot, but more than the average person is. Uh, a lot of those things are not objective in themselves. So I don't know. Anyway, that's just how things are. I probably, yeah, that would be a good solution. Probably to do. Next thing to do in the about section. Uh, Warning. remember that this guy says a lot of things without taking into consideration how he's saying them. So sometimes you might hear something that is said as a general quote unquote truth. Beware, doubt everything. But yeah, I don't know. Also, can I say this? That good to say? Okay, let me start with that. Completely different thing. New idea. It's good to see how much life itself is pain, but we cannot mention that at all. It's like we know how hard it is to exist, but at the same time we are so incapable of mentioning any of those things directly, and even more it is seen not just as a bad but an unpleasant thing to mention them. And more so in a way in which it isn't just I don't know, crying about the painful things, but trying to understand them. Not justify the pain, but just observe it and be capable of explaining why it is there and such similar emotions. In itself, we are very interested in talking about emotions and whatnot. Can we do it properly? I don't think so. At least I don't personally feel like that is so easy to do. I think we are very good at, in many ways, having discussions and having yeah, having times in which we can observe, say phenomena, but in the at least in the general, yeah, in general public spaces, it's not so common to hear people talk about emotions in a way in which it isn't just revolving around the idea of wow, yeah, I, I felt very bad about something. I mean, okay, everybody can feel very bad about anything, but to go to a deeper level, I guess, and to that's why those things are there. That's not something so common, and not in a way in which of wow, yeah, more psychology or something like that, because I can already, I guess, through my fucking schizophrenia, hear that idea of yeah, but you know that's just an argument for more people having to learn about psychology. No, I'm going more about the side of in reality, I am just saying we can and we should very much try our best to realize that to some degree emotions are part of our existence, but they are not so much of a necessary thing to some degree. Not in terms of, oh, yeah, let's become cool things, but rather in terms of we accept them too much. I think so. It's just the reality of, oh, yeah. Today I feel bad. Today I want to do something that I know I should do because I feel bad. And it stops at there. I think so. No, not I think so. That's what I don't like to be subjective. I don't think so. I have to see it myself. I have to see a fucking lot of people say I feel bad. Therefore, I want to do the things that I want to do. I feel fucking horrible when I can't say to them, uh, why do you feel bad in that way? And why will you allow that negative sensation that you are experiencing right now to keep you there? Not because, oh wow, yeah, you have to just shrug off the pain. No, that doesn't happen. I'm talking about the other reality. You know that you're going tomorrow to regret not only having had pain yesterday, but also not having done the things that you wanted to. It's that degree of observation that I'm trying to talk about. And also, I don't know, it's complicated. It's complicated, I guess. It's not once again, yeah, complicated. It should be a fucking banned word here. Uh, it's something very interconnected to just how we accepted that we should be. Being so harsh on oneself is very bad. General statement of society. So we get all to comfort ourselves in the slight notions that we have instead of processing to some degree that maybe, just maybe, we might not be playing so much in our own favor as we thought that we were compared to, I don't know, what we can say to others. And yeah, I don't know, that's part of it, basically. But yeah, that's has was that something that I haven't thinking about? Yeah, yeah, very much. I guess so. I mean, I don't know. It's just observing stuff. That sort of things that I started with. Or I not exactly started at some point. I mentioned that it did happen. Uh, Living life allows you to see those emotions, I guess. And I don't know. It's just funny that is it proper to say? Maybe not, but in many ways, our biggest problem is just ourselves. So yeah, I don't know. That's a long process, and also, yeah, I have something else along those very same lines. I mean, I remember the pinned word of today is psychology, so it's not really a surprise that we're going to talk about that sort of thing. Um, Something that I did see that made me quite angry. Not in any particular scenario, but in general, in the repetition of it, and how we are fucking incapable of mentioning that. How we have normalized those things. I don't think it just happened. Let's say it like this. There are unavoidable events. If I inspire oxygen, I will unavoidably expire carbon dioxide. Yeah, okay. That's an unavoidable thing. But if I have something, if I have a sensation, if I have an idea, if I have a thought, if I have any kind of mental thing of that sort, it is not something that I am obliged to take at, at face value, so to speak. That's just how we get to be ourselves. That's how we accustom ourselves to be. And in that same sense, I guess the general idea would be what I just said with pain and what's not. We have many things that we need to fix in that way or in that sense. There is a fucking lot of work to do in that regard. And I don't know, it's customs, I guess. Let's say it like this. Let's go a little bit crazy. If nothing else, at least what modern or what modern isn't the correct term. We live in the post-modern era, so modern is not correct in that regard. In our contemporaneous, that's the word, society, what we get to have, if nothing else, because most traditions have been broken, is a complete absorption of our inner sensations and no second to doubt them. We, I think I remember reading out that, not exactly in this context, but yeah, in the modern times or in the medieval times, for example, we used to have people like Descartes who were so important because they introduced doubt as one of the main principles of being. Nowadays, we have, I guess, yeah, that's something that I haven't been capable of mentioning at all here, but this idea of how deconstructionism has been so much influential in the whole world, probably the way in which we were capable of getting rid of the influences of people like Descartes. Not completely true, also. We have still saying of I think therefore I am. That's a fucking popular saying. No, we haven't really gotten rid of him, but to some degree, it has lost meaning. I mean, okay, I remember hearing about it in a different context. The issue is also the loss of meaning doesn't happen because we have abandoned the meaning that it had. The loss of meaning happens in this sense due to how we are incapable of sustaining the need to understand the stuff. You can just anybody can say, I think therefore I am. Not everybody is capable of understanding what the fuck they are saying when they are saying something like that. Not because of wow, yeah. You need to be completely sure of the expressions that you use. If you don't have complete awareness of your no. I'm talking about something that happens is we have become too acceptant of how there is no need for anyone to understand what they themselves are saying. Once again, this degree of wow, you know what? I will just say that I feel bad and give up on stuff. And that's it. That's the end. Not, okay, will I feel better if I give up? Not really. Will I gain things if I give up? Not really. Will I not feel remorseful if I don't give up? Not really. But I can, in other ways, in other manners, say that I don't feel as bad. And maybe that will be better if nothing else. Can I allow myself to do that? Not really. But I don't know. The adventure, I guess that would be a more logical idea. The adventure towards the discovery of oneself is complicated. And in that sense, that's also what I can stand a little bit more. Understanding who the fuck we, from a personal perspective, who I am, who the person who thinks the things that I say is complicated. There is, I guess, a lot of issues with having to recognize ourselves, not because we can't, but rather because we don't want to. The capacity to see that we might sometimes be not such a properly formed thing as we used to picture ourselves in our most basic level of consciousness is very upsetting. And very, not upsetting in terms of, oh, wow, yeah, I am I am scared. Upsetting in the other signification. Very annoying to deal with. And that's also basically an incredibly long process, an incredibly complicated process, and even more, that's also the same thing that has been what I remember I mentioned, I don't know, months ago probably. This idea of, and also I don't really know if what I am saying is the truth or is just another rationalization for what I am. I can tell you, oh yeah. It's useful for us to criticize ourselves and be open to new perspectives about our existence. Is that nice? Maybe not. Maybe I'm just justifying in to somewhat of a degree what could be seen from outside self-destructive behaviors. Maybe. And I can't truly tell you that because from my subjective perspective it feels nice. And from the subjectivity everything else is constructed. And if you were to tell me that I am wrong, I can even start to have friction towards what you are stating, who you are, and what you might mean in the rest of my existence. So, in that sense, it's also fucking complicated. But yeah, I don't know. I just guess the proper point is think, think about the stuff. I guess try to think. It's nice. It's not such a dangerous thing. I guess it's I don't know. I think in many ways, something very wonderful that happens is we get to even though we can destroy ourselves and actually do it, not just in terms of, oh yeah, I might think about something bad and end up hurting myself, even if just mentally. No, we can actually, that idea of deconstruction of the self, we can identify things that we don't need. And by the process of eliminating them, destroy who we used to be, that thing doesn't mean that it is something bad. That's, I guess, yeah, another moment of insight probably. This whole idea, yeah, it might even make sense that to some degree. I mean, I never thought about it in that way. I never thought about it in that sense. But yet, this, okay, let me make it understandable. Um, this thing that happens very much, at the least in my case, is I can see some resemblances with what I am saying right now, as I am saying it, with what we used to talk about, or I used at the very least to read a lot here. The Hinduistic tradition and all of that stuff, because at the same time, even there, you can find the stuff like, oh yeah, yeah, destruction is not so bad. And I don't know, other things that I used to say here, that for example, even I today wanted to talk about, I don't know, that is something not so bad. Am I, that's a good doubt. Am I talking about something that I thought about myself? Or am I just explaining it to other people, making it make sense to myself, but re-explaining or rewording what I have read before, and finally getting the message? That's I guess the issue of how culture works in that sense. How we can get access to so many different variants of messages from all different places. You're doing what you got to do. Yeah. I mean, everybody can do what they got to, but at the same time, uh, let me say it like this: in most, yeah, not just in psychoanalysis, in both, in linguistics in general, there is this idea. In many cases, we are not who we are, and we don't say the things that we do because we are ourselves. We are, and we do the things that we get to do because we're informed by other things. And we might believe that they are ours. I might believe that what I am saying is just me, so to speak. That doesn't mean that it is me. What I am trying to get at is, to some degree, I might be just rephrasing the stuff that we can read, I don't know, for example, in the Mahabharata in a different way. Not that I can consciously, I don't know, get to tell you where I am taking all of that stuff from. I don't have that sort of memory. But it's also, at the same time, it also brings me to this notion of there is something in the, from a different perspective. Uh, I think it was Carl Young, who talked about that in the mystique as a category. In the mystique or the spiritual stuff, there are also encoded ideas. And the point is not just to say them at face value, but to try to understand them and to make sense out of them and to be capable of tying all of those explanations with a way in which we get to make sense out of reality in a better way, because those myths, while being fantastic, can also contain parts of reality that we might be unaware of at the moment of reading them. But only through proper examination then we get to decode what the meaning is. That's, I mean, yeah, that's more an explanation of another guy that was more along the lines of the poet isn't aware of what his poetry or of what their poetry might uncover if it were to be analyzed by someone else. But yeah, I mean, that's also the issue of I don't read people. Sorry, I don't read text. I read people. That happens so much with this sort of thought. You don't get to read the things that you do in a way in which the ideas themselves stick with you most of the time. You get to read the people that is writing the stuff that you do and make sense out of them. And at that point, you might be capable of understanding a little bit more. I don't know. Or complications of things that don't need to be that way. Uh, what I'm trying to get at. what I'm trying to get at is. Give me like 5 minutes. I need to take like an idle meeting break. Let's. I love that term. I don't know why. Maybe it is because it sounds so good. I guess it's so detached from what actually happens that it's like the best thing to say. It's I don't know. It's like I have to quickly. I don't know. It's not something bad even. That's also why it sounds good. I was going to say I have to. I don't know. Do something bad, and that's in itself not so good. And any other allegory is also more directed towards referring to the thing that is going to happen in a very indirect way, and this way of encoding it is completely unrelated. Anyway, give me a second. Thank you. Brother, what? I I never understood why, but whenever I cross my legs, they fall asleep, and one of them fell asleep, so that was painful. Anyway, um, also I was okay. I was saying before I lost myself in other things that weren't as related. I was trying to say, I guess, sorry for being so neurotic. I I I, I was told that, and I don't think it is that wrong to say that I might be very much a neurotic coder, I guess. but yeah, I get easily distracted. Sorry, I was getting at, yeah, and in some cases, distraction isn't that bad. That idea of the deconstructionism of get rid of what we assumed was an already established settlement, in this case, in the identity of the self, to be capable of rebuilding something better that works for the goals that we truly have instead of serving just the older habits that we used to carry that might not help us at all. That's the point with why I believe that sense. Getting rid of so many of those things is useful in itself, anything else. But I don't know, it's still, it doesn't mean that people will just accept it. Oh, wow, yeah, yeah. It makes so much sense, or whatever. Now I will be willing to fucking punish myself for thinking things that I believed were right my whole life. No, but at least that's the thing. It opens up the possibility of everything else. It gets to be a starting point for change, and that's enough. That's sort of enough. Also, I have to sneeze. Anyway, am I back? I think so. And why am I sneezing? What's going on? I was besides that, what I was trying to say was, yeah, I guess it just happens that some degree, not in a bad sense, but rather friction. That idea of friction. There is always too much friction, and even more, there is friction in terms of realizing that we have friction about things. So that's an even more complicated sense of being, I guess. That we can't really realize how much of an issue we might even be for ourselves in some ways, because we don't want to see that some things are incorrectly done, so to speak. And that's hard. I mean, that's also, I guess, why I postulate so much. Oh, yeah, yeah. We need to be harsher with ourselves. Blah, 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 blah. Maybe. Maybe to some degree, yeah. But some other, it doesn't mean that it's an easy show to understand how to slowly, I guess, poke at oneself without just self-distracting. That sort of thing. That might as well also be an issue. I mean, I don't know. There are many things to think about. And everybody has their own issues, everybody has their own things to think about. And I can't help but what I said before through experience. See, in many ways, we have a lot of will to at least start. But that's, I guess, the problem of not being accompanied by anyone else. We get incredibly self-destructive with things very rapidly. This, I guess, it's something related to how we live life so rapidly nowadays. We are so interested in getting the results that we, oh yeah, you have to judge yourself. You know what? I will judge my whole life. No, brother, calm the fuck down. I'm not saying that. I'm telling you slowly that notion that gets ridiculized nowadays. Notice stuff. Notice what you are. See, be aware. Be aware that maybe, perhaps, you're not helping yourself so much in some cases. Start from there. That's the beginning. Not, oh yeah, yeah. Today I will sit for 12 hours straight and I will demolish all my demons. No, man. You're going. Is that something bad to say? It's the reality. Most probably, if you take it on from that perspective, you're just going to end up killing yourself. It's bad to say it, yeah, but it's the reality, man. You cannot play so much with your own mind to that degree. We don't like to hear those things, but yeah, in the end, the human is fragile. Wow, surprising statement. And I don't know, it's just that thing about having, yes, patience. One second. That has been another thing that has been repeating itself for quite a long time nowadays. Patience. I like how we are so incredibly impatient at stuff. That's the issue. It's the incredibly big issue. There are many things that require a lot of tiny but cumulative efforts, not huge efforts in one go, tiny ones throughout time. And I cannot say it's something so bad. I can just say it's fixable, I guess. That's the truth. Not because we have an issue. We have to die on that hill of, oh wow, yeah, I have this problem, I will never change. No, no, it doesn't need to be like that. Okay, I am impatient. Next thing, how can I become more patient? How can I cultivate something like that? Would work. Finally saw that at least you might be capable of doing something, not just that. Yeah, probably that's a good explanation. Why we like so much to directly negate this stuff. We cannot. I think I get it. I think I finally get it. Why? This idea of binary thinking is so bad because you cannot jump from okay, I I have to not be this one thing anymore, but I cannot stop being this one thing because I don't have the possibility for that third option of I might change into something else. Okay, makes sense. I think I finally get it. Okay, uh, useful, useful enough. But yeah, that's that idea. I I got more than anything else standard what I just said. So yeah, so sorry for assuming that thought. I was at yeah changing and being able of moving towards something different instead of something bad or something different. Not that I don't have any patience. I will never have a patience at all. No, 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 because that's to some degree that's ridiculous. But rather, I don't have patience. Okay, how do I get good at having patience? Next question: how can I become better at this one thing that I have heard enough times I might need to be good at? Simple as. And I don't know. At that point, yeah, it's complicated. I mean, many things are complicated. Everything is complicated. That sort of the expression is catch 22, right? Everything is complicated, therefore nothing is complicated. So things happen like that. Also, I just remember something. No, not remember. I just got a little bit of a memory about something. I wish I properly remember something like that. I had an idea some time ago about something very. I think it is to some degree important because close to this idea of okay, yeah. I get it now. Now that we're talking about society, I guess. Can we start a new hashtag? Hashtag soccer moment. Yeah. Um, that guy was that a tool for manipulation? Is that a negative message? At the end of the day, I think most people nowadays understand that, at least in a general context, you say society, and the first thing that comes to your mind is that portrayal of the Joker saying society. Yeah, it doesn't mean something serious. It just means somebody fucking crazy trying to talk about something stupid in most cases. What's that? I think it's a bad word, but I guess uh, I hope to modify how we understand the discussion about these things in general. The mainstream people see it as that. I'm pretty sure I talk with people, and if I say society, they will look at me like, "What the fuck are you talking about, brother?" But yeah. Anyway, just an observation. I was going at in society, something funny happens. What I said before of a catch 22, this thing of something different. We all need to be ourselves. We all need to be not unique. We haven't gotten to be to that point, at least so far right now, but I think we're pretty close to that. And that same idea of also everybody can or should try to be successful in life. Those things I'm pretty sure are also to some degree, I guess the proper word would be seeds for chaos in how we work around ourselves. At the end of the day, anybody who stops to process what they hear in those things once again realizes the same thing, but from a more subjective perspective. You're trying to tell me that everybody needs to try to be successful, so you are forcing everybody. So you are telling me that I am not choosing to be myself successful, but I am being imposed this idea of success. So you are telling me that if I don't, society will be angry towards me. So you are telling me that I am not the, I guess, governor of my own actions. That whole chain of ideas. And I'm pretty sure in many ways that stuff is what's going down. The proper example was once again what we supposedly don't have of everybody should try to be unique. Unavoidably, if everybody is unique, then there is nothing else. Because we can't all just be ourselves. We always have to depend on something else to also define us. That quality of, and the human being as a social creature, not human being, the Homo erectus as a social creature, that thing, somehow, with you have to be unique, gets eradicated. And those similar sorts of message that make it more complicated to navigate throughout life, I guess. I don't know. It's not directly bad, but it's complicated. It's just there are many things that work like that, and this very same idea of yeah, we all have to be good or not bad, and whatnot, and how much we like to abandon things in that sense. I mean, let's say like this: the rules that we like to impose on ourselves are not so useful in terms of directly stating what we have to do with proper explanations. There are only so many yeah, basically that's that's the that's part of the point, indeed, that it's impossible to just, nobody can be unique in terms of everybody being unique. There is no way in which everybody, 7 billion people, can be unique. Impossible. We can have tiny differences that make us be ourselves, but that doesn't mean that we can't. And that's the issue. That's what I'm trying to get at. We don't have proper rules that give reasons. We have just rules that command. This idea of what was it? I don't remember. I guess that's the issue of reading too much. I remember hearing something about what's necessary to properly govern humans is not to give them reasons, because with reasons you give them knowledge, and with knowledge you might end up having arisals, and the last thing that you want is people rebelling against you. So you just give them commands that they must follow. That idea of, I don't know who, but that states it's not necessary to give explanation for things. You just say that they need to be that way, and that's it. And it feels that same way with, yeah, we have to be unique. What the fuck does being unique mean, even? We can all refer to the dictionary description, but within the context of a unique human, what is unique, man? What are you talking about when you say unique? There is something different that does exist in reality. Is around the age of 15 years already, every single human is already unique. They don't need to be unique because they get to be unique. Supposedly, the younger you are, the easier it is to replicate you, because every baby could take the same path to some degree. But the older we get, the more particular our choices have gotten, and already at the point of being 15, it is sort of the divisory line between what is a human that can be replicated and something that cannot, because there are so many intricate decisions that anybody has taken throughout their life at that point that already they are unique and irreplicable in that sense. I don't think it's correct to say that we cannot be unique. But once again, what the fuck is unique, man? What? Yeah, yeah. It's that same thing of we all have to be nice or we all have to be happy. Can I get a definition, man? Can we get a proper ground the both of us to stand in? What terms are we using to refer to the things that we are talking about? And which direction are we aiming at with the words and sentences that we use? And clearness is the best way to intoxicate people, I guess, to make it so complicated for them to understand what is being talked about, because they themselves don't know what is the proper thing that is being discussed. Is an even better tactic than just make them obey, because you make them lose their whole life trying to pursue meanings of things and explaining what is understandable. And this whole process of, and not only they have to realize, but they now get to choose. Okay, I realize things, and will I share them with others, or will I say that it is too cumbersome to explain things to other people and completely give up on everyone else? So I end up being secluded from the rest of the world. That that's something incredibly common. That's that's something incredibly observable. How much, I guess, people who have to some degree attained enlightenment don't really exist in the outside. I can also reach enlightenment if I fucking isolate. Is that proper enlightenment? I don't think so, brother. But who knows? Exactly. Who knows? I don't know. Spirituality is still something complicated, and even less. That sort of comprehension about the world, how we work and whatnot. So we can shrug it off as and say, who knows? That's better. I started talking for like an hour and 16. Let me drink some water before I fucking dry out here. The sun, not it, tonight. Is that dox information? I don't think so. I am pretty sure it's happening all around my country, but it's a night of full moon, so yeah, it's kinda bright, but it isn't like the daylight, anyways. So anyways, we're back. I should have changed screens probably. I wasn't really on so. What I would think to take water. I I'm going to talk about it. I don't give a fuck. I haven't. I mean, to some degree, I think I am going to talk about it because it's incredibly upsetting. Um, Something that happened not so recently, but happened is we have a new kid in our house. Uh, One of my family members had a kid, and the kid is not so little. So something that is happening is the kid is now learning concepts. How can you not teach a fucking kid how important it is to take water? I will say, if nothing else, at the very least, my mother sets the foundations for all of that stuff. You need to be hydrated, but not hydrated with, oh yeah, yeah. You know what? Now you go to your fridge and take one Coca-Cola and drink it fully and fucking die from carbonated beverages like that. No, you go and drink water. You drink water. You reward yourself sometimes with other sort of beverages, but you drink water. What you need the most to stay hydrated is water. And something, at least, okay, here in this country, I understand that in other places, sadly, it is fucking inaccessible, but here, you can get water, clean water to drink, and not have to pay as much as anything else. It's a fucking failure to leave things like that go so noticed. It's those, I don't know. I think it's a completely complicated process. Even more complicated discussion. Nobody here is any parental figure, so it's complicated to say, oh yeah, yeah, they're doing it wrong. But man, sometimes I don't know. It's easy to criticize, I guess. That's the proper saying. It's incredibly easy to criticize. But man, some mistakes, I don't know. I am more willing to hear a kid cry for 3 weeks straight than to watch them slowly die throughout the rest of their life because they cannot change in something as simple as drink less soda and drink more water. It's not going to kill you. On the contrary, if you can get it clean, it's going to do you so much better than anything else. But yeah, anyway, what's up? What's up with what's up with having a kid, man? I don't know. It's I remember I there is always something that I guess I since I heard it I haven't been capable of forgetting this idea of oh yeah I'm slowly growing up and people are having more and more kids around me. I'm getting to a point in which all of my social circles, everybody in my social circle has a children. No, luckily so far no, but I don't know. On one hand, I don't know that many old people, and the ones that I do know do have a kid. I think that's pretty telling. Maybe I just don't personally pay attention, I guess. But yeah, it's such a thing. I I haven't tried to think about it lately. No, not lately. In general, it's a discussion, I guess. It's one of the main quote unquote problems of being alive. Will I be responsible for another human being like that or not? I am willing to go through that whole experience or not. And the more you can understand, the more you have to ask yourself, do I fucking want something like that? Do I fucking want to have anything like that? It's also fucking annoying. Am I truly sure that I want to have anything like that? And I don't know, it's still, I guess, something that I will say to that, if nothing else, we have been doing much more of a workshop at properly understanding what it means to have that sort of experience and properly understanding how much we need to talk about those things. I don't know. I think, okay, I know it's literally the worst place to say it to some degree. In it, the what is it? The, the pot calling the kettle moment. But yeah, man, I think we are forgetting too much about other more basic things. Understanding that sometimes emotions are not so fundamental to existence. Understanding that, yeah, sometimes we don't have to just think for ourselves, we have to think about a legacy. We have to understand that idea of, okay, and tomorrow, today we die, tomorrow the world keeps on going, man. Are we going to do something like that? Are we going to have an interest and be capable of paying attention to that sort of thing or not? And it's incredibly, no, I wouldn't say annoying is an easy word. Annoying is an incredibly easy category. I can say, oh yeah, I am annoyed, and that's it. It's disturbing, and it's irritating to see. But yeah, we have those sort of conversations nowadays almost nullified from existing in society. Oh yeah, yeah. You wanna talk about having kids with your friends? What the fuck are you? Are you trying to be their parent? You wanna talk about emotions? What the fuck are you trying to be? What are you? Are you telling them that they are wrong? I don't know. It's just complicated, I guess. Everything is complicated, so it doesn't mean anything really, but it's complicated. It's one more of the things that is complicated. Also, I haven't thinking a lot. I, I'm surprised that I don't speak that much, but yeah, that thing that I used to say when I was more before, when I was here more often, to some degree, so such an incredibly extended barrage of words is quite exhausting. But I don't know. It's also Probably it's on the same category as what I talk about. Those things that we like to just ignore or just see from society. We understand that. Oh yeah, you're tired. You should right now. You have to rest. No man. I think something. I would even yeah. From that personal perspective, some of the best experiences that I had came from being tired. Not because oh yeah, I was aiming to get tired, but because I was capable of continuing despite being tired. There are many experiences that if we cannot deal with that nagging sensation that is tiredness, we don't get to experience. It's, yeah, it's annoying. Ah, on the other hand, yeah, also, I guess this is sort of one of the many things that I wanted to mention today. I like to talk about society. Uh, I like to say a fucking lot, society. It's something very correct about that society meme is it's very wonderful to make someone else responsible for your issues. Many of those things are not the issues that the world imposes on me, but rather they are the way in which I see the world that I am willing to accept. And then I can rationalize it as the responsibility of someone else. If I say, oh yeah, so tired, can go to sleep. It's me saying it. I can later on add, oh yeah, no, because they told me that if I am tired, I should stop. No, man, I am saying it. Is there anyone else behind me saying that? Oh yeah, yeah. No, no, no. It doesn't happen like that. It isn't happening like that. It never happened like that. What the fuck are you talking about when you say, oh yeah, the world, the society? No, no. Uh, but it's it's that sort of thing of dealing with oneself in that proper way also. I think that is complicated. There are many, I guess, holes in how we are used to be that we don't even want to acknowledge. There are many situations pertaining to how we get accustomed to being that when we have to face them, it's better to make someone else be the responsible of those situations. That I realize that, yeah, most of those things literally come from us. And I don't know, I guess that's what I was gonna say. Sort of complicated. There is this idea of I haven't still trying to wrap my head around. Not in a very religious sense, in a proper practical way. What is this idea of a higher power? I think most of the proper explanations and ways to be capable of moving forward is through this concept of possessing something of a higher power that can allow the human being to move forward. Can I get to properly capable of using that in a practical way? Not yet. But I can at least say, yeah, theoretically speaking, this thing is that way, basically. Uh, I don't know. I guess it's just also the realization that in a sense, the issue is what does it mean, the actions that we like to take? What does it mean? What are we trying to get with the and it's I guess from a personal perspective, at least that I can say compared to how I used to be, I wouldn't have liked to hear anything like that at all because the reality is in some ways living life more in an automatic way means that you don't have a response for that question. You have an explanation for that sort of question. Somebody asks you, why are you doing the things that you're doing? I have no fucking clue, man. You want me to tell you why? I can make up an excuse, and even if that sounds rational enough, the sensation, the discomfort of knowing internally that what I am saying might even be a complete fucking lie is horrible. So that's also the issue with having to analyze things. Why do I do things that I don't understand myself? There might be something very upsetting behind those explanations. I don't know. It's, it's a radical analysis of oneself that keeps on existing throughout life. And that's useful enough to some degree, complicated enough to some other also. Whatever. It's something, I guess, so that's in itself so much more than nothing. But yeah, I don't know. Basically, that is. Uh, I think I. Ah, yeah, I did mention that I wanted to talk about it, so I guess I will at least try to mention it. Because like, I've been trying to formulate a proper way to mention all of this. It's still an incredibly complicated topic. I I think at least from a general perspective, sadly, it is one of the biggest issues to try to talk out anything related to that. I have, from a personal perspective, even, I know that, for example, if I have to hear about that from someone else, I might worry. I might worry a fucking lot. If they tell me, oh yeah, man, you shouldn't worry so much if you die, I might even believe that they are going to fucking kill themselves. I'm not going to lie here and say, oh yeah, yeah, no. Why talking about that? It's so complicated because it's hard to not see it and codify these sorts of conversations in a way in which it just feels like the other person is, I don't know, in a bad mental place. But at the same time, I think I say it more from the other perspective. Too much people worry about it. I don't know. I think we lack enough understanding about what it means to die, not in the sense of, oh yeah, yeah, need to have a right now a picture for what will happen the day we die. What comes after that? We need to get an explanation right now. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about we need to at the very least be capable of mentioning it. It's there is something very important, yes. We have a limited time in existence. If we cannot even say that we are going to die, how the fuck do we mention that we have a limited time? What does it happen? When the limited time ends, you just restart the run. No, that's not the reality. That's not our actual reality. That's the truth in another game. That's the truth in another virtual fantasy of ours. Yeah, you run out of time and you can try a new run. Wow. But in life, sadly, we don't have that privilege. And no matter what we want, we don't have the possibility of demonstrating with 100% accuracy that it works like that. We don't have anything to back up the claim that, yeah, yeah, you know what? It doesn't matter. You die, I don't know, you get to reincarnate in another human, in another animal, in another life, in another paradise, blah, 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 blah. So, good night, Goldie. I hope you have a very good dream. Thank you for being here. Thank you once again for the bits. As I tried to say before, probably I didn't say it. And yeah, uh, be happy, I guess. Look forward to tomorrow in terms of life. But yeah, I was saying something that happens too much is we're just incapable of mentioning any of those things. I don't know. I think it's a disservice to ourselves to never have a possibility to understand that indeed it's it's not that life is bad, it's that life is a passage not so simple as okay, I get to exist for as long as I want. That's it. No, man. And maybe I can say it from this perspective. Something that I have seen more and more happen recently is, or not recently, in terms of the difference throughout the cultures. We used to have more rituals. We used to have more of a connection with everything that is related to that final moment in existence of it being in the deathbed and what's not. And nowadays, even more, at least from my culture, from I guess one generation forward, but what is it? One generation before mine onwards, that's the proper expression. What I see is sadly, yeah, we don't really care about anything of that sort. Not because it is something that we have replaced with other things. I don't think, if nothing else, at the least we have that sort of tool to understand why it is necessary to take action. It's the sense of meaning in the human life requires a proper limit. There is no useful way of portraying oneself in the infinity of existence. It is what I remember I said when somebody asked some time ago this thing of what would you do if you got to be immortal? Nothing, man. If I got to be immortal, I can completely 100% tell you be as hedonistic as I want, man. That's the difference between an infinite life and nothing else. What's the point? I can be optimistic right now that I am immortal until oh yeah. You know what? My life will be that of pursuing the assistance for everyone else. No, no. I am immortality means also that I see everything else end. What's the point in changing it if everything is going to anyways end? That's immortality's the course of having to be the observer of everything else. That's the issue with all of this. And I don't know. It's complicated. It's always complicated. But at the very least, the point was it serves a purpose in that sense. It serves as a sort of guideline, as a sort of explanation for every other thing. It doesn't exactly need to be the most nurturing resource, but nowadays we don't have it. And nowadays we are creating more and more distance between ourselves and that. And I don't know, I don't mean, I think maybe it can be traumatizing to see something like, I don't know, what still happens in some cultures. Bring the fucking dead person to your house. Yeah, that can be bad. But for a kid, that's traumatic. But willful exposure to things, a willful capacity to experience that sort of thing, that's cool. That's useful. And I don't know, it's nonetheless, it is complicated, but it's useful. At the very least, it allows for some degree of awareness. things, and that's already something nice. I won't say it's the best thing, but it's something nutritive for the minds of people. And I don't know, it's, I guess, I sort of, maybe I mentioned that. At this point, I have talked about too many things today. It's just the willingness to experience any sort of discomfort that makes it look like such a bad thing. We cannot talk about that. We cannot talk about loss. We cannot talk about the end. We cannot talk about, I don't know, fights. We cannot talk about problems. We cannot talk about the pain. We can't anything. Fucking garbage. No, life isn't so limited. Life isn't really that limited. Once we start to realize that indeed we're avoiding so many things because we delegate that the responsibility of dealing with them to an external force instead of seeing that it was in our hands, then it finally becomes more bearable. Otherwise, it's, yeah, that point complicated. And I don't know. It's just a process, I guess. It's just a very strenuous process. And due to how that works, due to how that exists, all of those things sort of feel bad, I guess. I don't know, it's yeah, that's I can only talk from a personal perspective at this point. But yeah, it feels nice to hear all of those things. And it gets to be a huge reward. There is a fucking lot of mental pain, mental anguish about thinking about some things that I talk about here a lot of the time. It's horrible to think about them in the moment, but the reward after that is a sort of purification gained through the dissolution of previously conceived notions that do not serve to make life better, but to make the moment itself more bearable. And out of nowhere, if we never change from that other perspective, we're not living a very shielded life without any degree of discomfort. I don't know, man. I don't need so much comfort. I don't need so much good stuff existing around. Fuck that. If I can have some understanding how to stuff, I can get to see what's the point and what's the goal and what do I have to do and where do I have to go. But only if I allow myself to think about the stuff and try to understand it in any way. Otherwise, yeah, it is going to be painful, but not in a bearable way. At least this exposure to pain willfully gets to be to some degree a proper, I don't know, minimal degree of exploration to what is yet to come to life in life at all the other stages. If not, if I don't allow myself to do that, I will unavoidably have to confront things later on. But I will have not only to confront them, like we can do here, like talking and seeing it. I have to fucking struggle in the situation itself, and I have to fucking kill myself in terms of having to destroy what I am just to survive something that I could have tried to understand. That's what I don't like about. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You don't need to be so harsh. We don't. What do we need it to be? That's why I don't like that discussion of yeah, yeah. You should be weaker. Yeah, truly, truly. That's the goal. That's the point. Do not be capable of handling things when they happen. To be broken by life itself instead of understanding that life is something that can be experienced without so much pain. Huh? I don't know. It's complicated. It's a long process. It's a long analysis. It's everything in that sense. It's long, requires patience, and I don't know. It's just that. Also, I guess I sort of tried to mention it properly. But before I leave, I want to say it more correctly. There is something that does happen that I don't mention at all, or that I didn't mention at all here. Many of the ways in which what I am trying to say here works by just pointing at the stuff. The possibility of at least realizing that it is there. I remember getting incredibly angry before at this same notion of, okay, awareness of the issue is to some degree the capacity to deal with it. Because the issue becomes existed in your mind, then everything else from I guess you want names. What are you talking about? You're talking about the unconscious mind. Are you crazy? That doesn't happen like that. Okay, default mode network is what gets to work on the things that you can awareness through your own consciousness. So, if nothing else, the possibility of getting to understand that things and to see that they might be is a pathway towards the resolution of the issue. As long as we're interested in getting resolved, obviously. But it's necessary to be capable of mentioning so many things. And it's necessary to be capable of having such an open speech about the stuff. If not, being is not such a nice process. And I don't know. The final goal isn't something that gets to be as enjoyable. Otherwise, there are too many complications anyways. So why not try to at least that idea of that has been something that I have been trying to process lately also. Uh, we have free time, we have downtime. Why not try to make it just be filled with enjoyment? No, no, man, no. It's so incredibly bad to do that. If the only things that we have in our downtime is good things, then when things get once again to be in any way quote unquote bad, we fucking struggle too much, brother. We don't need to be enclosed in that. There is no actual necessity for that sort of existence. To be so incredibly destroyed by those moments of unavoidable pain is rather pointless. It's like, oh yeah. I could have thought about things. I could have used my time to see it. I could have used my time to lessen my pain. But I will rather just make it unbearable in the future. Now I get to be happy. This idea of the future me will have to deal with it. That thing taken to a sort of extreme, I guess. I don't know. All of those things are complicated and we don't even try to talk about them anyways. It's just this might as well be one of the handful of spaces in which this sort of thing happens. So it's not like, oh yeah, tomorrow the world will change. But at least it's something. At least it's a tiny sand of grain. More for the pile of efforts, I guess. That's the point also. Because I mean that's the issue. What is truly a grain of sand? What's something so tiny of that sort? What does it mean actually to contribute in that sense? Does it matter? Does it not matter? Does it signify anything? Does it have a value? Does it truly need to be used for anything or not? Maybe it needs to be used. Maybe we are required to act. Maybe we have certain obligations that we must try to obey. And maybe we are not actually doing any of those things. Who knows, brother? Just who knows? Maybe a grain of sand is not even maybe, sorry. Not even maybe. Not even maybe. That idea. What I said before. Today. What I said, I don't know, some minutes ago. Something is better than nothing. A grain of sand is so much more than fucking void. Fucking emptiness. Is it so hard to appreciate? Sometimes? I don't know. Can we truly appreciate this stuff? Good question. Very, very good question. But we get accustomed to be like that, so nothing to truly worry about. Just existence on its most unfiltered way, I guess. Yeah, that's good enough, I assume. I don't know. Also, let me say it. Let me say it because I will feel bad if I don't say it. It's something that I will keep pushing on, like I am doing right now, making up more and more things to say before actually saying it. But I should focus on streaming it earlier. I have to accept that part of why I last so little here is because I stream incredibly fucking late. Not because I require to do so, but because I don't know, man. The world is full of information. That's my excuse. There are so many things to see, so many things to read, so many things to do. But yeah, they are wonderful to pay attention to when you are actually interested in seeing them. So yeah, sometimes I get fucking lost in that. I mean, I don't know, probably lately, like 80% of my time in that sort of stuff when I am not here. Besides, obviously, the sleeping hours, which are unavoidable, the rest of the time might as well be, yeah, 80, 70% of existence is invested, not spent. Spent is such a fucking bad word in that sense. Oh yeah, I have spent my life. No, man. It was an investment. It was a conscious decision. I don't know. It's nice, I guess. But yeah, at the same time, also, I guess the final thing, because I did see it. Okay, I was finally capable of understanding something properly in a different realm. That is something that I don't even know if I talked about before. I probably did, but there is this bias of, familiarity or something like that, I think is called, in which we stop believing that we can actually. Not okay, okay. The issue is we stop doing things that we know we shouldn't because we are so familiar with them in many ways. Maybe we are familiar as in we know that we can do it, we know that we have the possibility to do it, we know that it is always available for us to do, and we know that it might as well be something that we can delay for another day. Those sort of things happen too much. And in that same way, generating collections upon collections of books works in the same way. I have finally understood, I guess. So yeah, not to say that I will try to read more than Harata. I was just trying to say it in terms of, yeah, I understood that from a personal perspective. I keep just accumulating more and more shit to fucking read through. That's the reality. Yeah, I should start more in that sense. Not everything is available until one day it won't be because that happens, you know. So yeah, I don't know. That's issues of the self, I guess. Issues of existing, but it's anyway so much better than nothing. So yeah, I guess that's it. I don't know. Do I have anything else to really add? No, not really. I I guess that will be it. As always, thanks. Thanks for the patience. Thanks for everything. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Tomorrow, tomorrow I don't have anything. So tomorrow I guess I will be here. And Friday, it's so fucking over. On Friday we could have had we could have had some run, but we don't. So on Friday I will be here. And yeah, no promises. They are out the 23rd, I think it was. Or we have to see. But anyways, that's it for today. So as always, thanks for everything. Thanks for the patience. Have have a good life. I guess that's the real point of this, to make life better. Have a better life. Not have a good life in terms of, oh yeah, have a better life already. No, 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 no. Have a better life. Have a better existence. Have a more bearable existence. So yeah. Anyway, peace and thanks as always. I don't know. I still fucking, yeah. I should say that I am done. No, I still fucking struggle a lot. I am slowly becoming more properly aware of what it means to be incapable of understanding how necessary it is to be thankful about the things, and so also useful to not be so incapable of appreciating what we are in that sense. So yeah, that's another struggle. Sorry if I don't say thanks enough. Not in a condescending way, but rather, yeah, it has been a fucking issue for too long. So I don't think tomorrow I will wake up and I will be capable of saying thanks enough for everything. Just know that yeah, life is about that. Slowly getting better at things. One day I will be capable of saying, I guess that's my excuse. One day, not today. Anyway, good night.